Hello students, I hope all of you are absolutely safe and fine out there. I would like to welcome all of you all to the video solution of English language paper. This paper was conducted on the 3rd of September and the topics covered were change the voice, tenses, direct and indirect speech, letter writing, notice writing and email writing. So first and foremost, how can you score maximum marks when it comes to language? So if you really want to score maximum marks in language, the only trick I can tell you all is to solve as many papers as you can. Now what happens when you keep on solving so many papers, you get acquainted with different kinds of sentences that can be asked in the paper. From easy to the toughest, the level can vary. And so you will get an idea of all the different types of sentences that can be asked in the final exams. So let's say if in a week you solve a minimum of 3 language papers, so by the time you reach your final examination, you are well versed with different kinds of sentences that can be asked, and solving them won't be a lot of problem. So if you really want to score your maximum when it comes to language, all I can tell you is, guys, keep on practicing. You can pick up sentences from the reference books. You can pick up sentences from the guides, from the internet. You have a lot of sources. The sources are unlimited. All you need to do is just pick out sentences and start solving them. Make a new book, your practice book. Make a 100, pages book, right? And start practicing in them. Keep that book thoroughly for your practice. This is going to help you score better marks when it comes to language. The first question that is due as directed is nothing but changing the form of the verb given in the bracket. So this nothing means it is tenses. Now, whenever you're solving a question which is related to tenses, first and foremost, you need to know the basics of tenses. When I say the basics of tenses, it simply means that you need to know your 12 different types of tenses. Your 12 different types of tenses are simple present, simple past, simple future, present perfect, past perfect, future perfect, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, and future perfect continuous, and present continuous, past continuous, and future continuous. So these are nothing but your 12 different types of tenses that you need to keep in mind. Okay, what do you mean by a continuous tense? It simply means your main verb changes in its present participle format. That means your main verb changes into its ing format. Dancing, playing, singing, running, these are nothing but examples of present participle. Your verb ending with ing. And when we talk about a perfect tense, it simply means your main verb is going to change in its past participle format. Past participle, it means your verb ends with en or ed or ne or t. Dance, watch, slept, these are nothing but examples of your past participle. Now, whenever you get to see the helping words am, is, are, or was, were in your sentence. I repeat, whenever you spot helping verbs like am, is, are, was, were in the sentence, remember your main verb is going to change in its present participle format, that is the ing. And whenever you happen to spot words like has or have or had, I repeat, has or have or had, you're always going to change your main verb into its past participle format. So whenever you spot am, is, are, was, were, change the verb in its present participle format, that is ing. And if you spot has, have, or had, you're going to change the main verb in its past participle format, that is en or ed or ne or t. So these are certain rules that you need to keep in mind when you are solving tenses. Okay, so these were certain tricks that I could tell you all for tenses. We now move on to the next topic, and that is your direct and indirect speech. Now, when it comes to direct and indirect speech, it's very simple, guys. You've been given a sentence, okay, with quotation marks, and you have to remove the quotation marks and answer the sentence in its past tense. Remember, guys, a direct and indirect speech. In direct and indirect speech, the tense of the sentence is always going to change. I repeat, the tense of the sentence will always change. So suppose if your sentence is in present tense, you're going to change it into past tense. And if your sentence is already in the past tense, you're going to change it into its past perfect tense. First of all, we need to understand there are 5 changes that happen when you convert a sentence from direct speech to indirect. First of all, the quotation marks are removed. All the punctuation marks are removed when you're converting from a direct to an indirect speech. Next, the tense of the word changes. Okay, the tense of the sentence changes completely. Okay, we have the change of pronouns. We have the change of pronouns. We then have the change in words. We then have the change in words, and finally the comma that is given in the sentence changes into the connective. Your comma in the sentence changes into connective. So all in all, we can understand one thing, that if in a direct sentence you have punctuation marks like double inverted comma or a question mark or an exclamation mark, or for that matter even a comma, everything is removed. There will be absolutely no punctuations in your indirect speech. Okay, now there are certain things that you'll need to keep in mind when we talk about change of tense. When we talk about change of tense, present tense changes to past tense. Past tense changes to past perfect tense. Helping words like am, is, are changes to was, were. Has, have changes to had. Do, does changes to did. Can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might. These are the changes that take place. And remember, if your sentence is a universal truth, or it's a proverb, or it's a habit, I repeat, if your sentence is a universal truth or a proverb or a habit, the tense of the sentence never changes. The tense of the sentence never changes. So let us have a look at this particular sentence. Can I make an appointment? He said. So here it is a question. It is a question. So whenever you are going to answer a question, you're going to convert a question into an indirect speech, the connective that we are going to use is going to be if or whether, depending upon your question. Nahi samjhe? I'll tell you. See, have a look at this sentence. Can I make an appointment? He said. Can I make an appointment? Is it a yes no question or a WH question? It's a yes no question. When I say a yes no question, it simply means that you can answer the question in either a yes or a no. So whenever your question is a yes no question, the connective, okay, the connective changes to if or whether. Now what is a connective? You're going to use it instead of comma. So instead of comma, what is the thing that joins my sentence? It is going to be a connective. So if your question is a yes no question, the connective is going to be if or whether. And for instance, if your question is a WH question, for example, why are you so late? It's a WH question. You need to give a detailed answer. Okay. So here, that kind of a question will have the connective, the WH word only. For example, why are you late? So my WH word is why. So I'm going to write the word why only in place of connective. Okay. So can I make an appointment? It's either a yes or a no, depending. So you're going to use the connective if or whether. Because you have a question mark, the verb, the reporting verb is going to change into asked. Now what's the reporting verb in the question? Can I make an appointment? He said. So you all can see the word said over here. The word said over here is nothing but a reporting verb. The word said over here is a reporting verb, and your reporting verb is going to change into asked. Your reporting verb changes into asked or inquired, depending upon, you can write both. You can either use the word asked or you can either use the word inquired. That's completely your choice. So he asked, because it's a question, it is going to be asked or inquired. Now, because my question is a yes, no question, I can use a connective if or whether. Okay, anything would be fine. So he asked if he could make an appointment. So I did tell you all the change of pronouns. The change of pronouns. So I changes here to he, and can, change of tense. Can changes to could. Make an appointment. Now remember guys, whenever in a sentence, always check whether your reporting verb is in present tense or past tense. Always check whether your reporting verb, okay, your reporting verb is in present tense or past tense. I'll quickly tell you what is a reporting verb. The verb which is outside the quotation marks. The verb which is outside the quotation marks is called as a reporting verb. For example, Can I make an appointment? He said. So this word said, it's a verb and it is outside the quotation mark, and hence it becomes my reporting verb. Look at the second sentence. Max said some of these apples are rotten. Max said. The word said is outside the inverted comma, and hence that becomes my reporting verb. So you have to remember one thing. If your reporting verb is in past tense, if your reporting verb is in past tense, only then, only then the tense of the sentence inside the inverted comma is going to change. I repeat, if your reporting verb is in past tense, only then the tense of the sentence which is inside the double inverted comma is going to change its tense. If your reporting verb is in present tense or future tense, the tense of the sentence inside the quotation mark is not going to change. Have a look at the sentence. Can I make an appointment? He said. Now, because my reporting verb is in past tense, because my reporting verb is in the past tense, that is why the tense of the sentence inside the quotation mark changed. It was in present tense, I changed it into past tense. It was in present tense, I changed it into past tense. So this is one rule that you need to keep in mind. If your reporting verb is in past tense, only then the tense of the sentence inside the quotation mark is going to change. So see, Max said some of these apples are rotten. Again, my reporting verb is in past tense. My sentence is a simple sentence, okay? So Max said that some of those apples were rotten. You change the present into past tense. Okay, so remember guys, if your sentence is a question, it's a question, so your reporting verb changes into asked or inquired. If your sentence is an exclamatory sentence, your reporting verb changes into exclaimed. Said ki jagah exclaimed will be used. If your sentence, okay, is an imperative sentence, so that depends. Suppose if your sentence is an order, so the reporting verb changes to ordered. If it's a suggestion, it changes into suggested, and so on. And suppose if your sentence is a simple sentence, it's an assertive sentence, your reporting verb is going to remain said. Okay, so these are certain things. So Pam said, where does this road end? So Pam inquired where that road ended. And remember one thing, guys, whenever you're solving an interrogative sentence, you are always going to swap the subject and the auxiliary verb in the sentence which is inside the quotation marks. For example, have a look at the first one. Can I make an appointment? So first I'm given my auxiliary verb, that is can, and then I have my subject I. But when I'm going to convert it into an indirect speech, I am going to swap their positions. I'm going to write down the answer for I first, that changes to he, and then I'm going to write down the auxiliary verb could. So remember one thing, your position of subject and auxiliary verb inside the quotation mark sentence is going to change when we are converting it from direct speech to indirect. The position of your auxiliary verb and subject is going to change. Always remember that. If you do not swap them, no matter how correct your sentence is, but if you have not swapped the position of the subject on the auxiliary verb, you're going to straight away get a 0 in the answer. For example, if you write this answer as, he asked if, could he make an appointment? Could he make an appointment again becomes a question. It doesn't remain an answer, or it doesn't changes into a sentence. It still remains a question. So if you do that, you are going to straight away get a 0. But yes, when I'm writing it as, he asked if he could make an appointment, here I'm swapping the position of my subject and auxiliary verb. I'm swapping the position. Then my sentence frames correctly. Then it now sounds as a sentence rather than a question. Right? This is exactly what I want. Whenever I'm going to convert a question into an indirect speech, I have to make it sound like a sentence, like a statement, rather than a question. And that can only happen if you're swapping the subject and the auxiliary verb. Okay, now come on, let's proceed further. And now we're going to talk about first our change the voice. The next concept that we have over here is change the voice. Now, unlike direct and indirect speech, The rules for change of voice are completely different, but one major rule that you need to keep in mind when you're solving a change the voice is that the tense in change the voice never changes. The tense in change the voice never changes. Like unlike direct and indirect speech, where present tense changes into past and past tense changes into past perfect, that will not happen in case of change the voice. So if your sentence is in present tense, active voice is in present tense, your passive voice will also remain in the present tense. It is not going to change into the past tense. After driving Professor Kumar to the museum, she dropped him at his hotel. This is your active voice. You're now going to change it into passive voice. There are 4 steps to conversion of active to passive. Step number 1, you're going to first identify your subject in the sentence in the active voice. You're going to identify the object. Now guys, subject is a doer of the action. जो action कर रहा है या जिसके बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं is known as the subject, and the object is upon whom the action is being made. Object is upon whom the action is being made. So understand one thing. First of all, you have to identify your subject, you have to identify your object, and you have to swap their position. So subject and object are going to be swapped. The positions of subject and object are going to be swapped. Subject ki jagah pe you're going to write down object, and object ki jagah pe you're going to write down subject. The second rule is going to be using the correct helping verb. The correct helping verb. What are the correct helping verbs? If a sentence is in present tense, the helping verbs used will be am, is, are. So when you're converting a sentence which is in present tense from active to passive, so when you're converting it into passive, the sentence will include words like am, is, are. If a sentence is in past tense, you're going to use the words, helping words, was and were. Okay. Has, have changes to had. Has been. Okay. So if you've got words like has, so you're going to change it into has been. Okay. You have got the words like have, you're going to change it into have been. Had changes to had been. Will have been. So remember these rules, guys. If it's a present tense, you're going to change it into am, is, are. Past tense, was, were. Has have been. Will have been. Had been. And suppose if you're given the helping words like am, is, are, you're going to change it into am, is, are plus been, that is ing. And was, were changes to was, were, being. So let us have a look at this. Okay, the third step, okay, you're going to change your main verb into its past participle format. You're going to change your main verb into its past participle format, that is in the en or ed or ne or t format. And finally, you're going to add by before the subject when you're converting it into passive voice. So first and foremost, what are the rules that we're going to keep in mind? You're going to swap the position of subject and auxiliary verb. Sorry, your subject and the object. You're going to swap the position of your subject and the object. This is I'm talking about change the voice. When you're converting from active voice to passive voice, you're going to swap the position of subject and you're going to swap the position of object. The second thing that you're going to do is you're going to add appropriate helping verbs. Third rule, you're going to change your main verb into its past participle format. And last rule is going to be you're going to add by before the subject when it is already converted into its passive voice. So let us have a look. After driving Professor Kumar to the museum, she dropped him at his hotel. So after being driven to the museum, okay, so driving changes into driven, past participle of the main verb. Professor Kumar was dropped at his hotel. Professor Kumar was dropped at his hotel. So we have followed the 4 rules. Have a look at the next sentence. Who is creating this mess? It's a question. You're going to allow it to remain it as a question. Okay. So who is creating this mess? So there can be 2 answers over here. By whom is this mess being created? Okay. Or the mess is being created by whom? Okay, so I did tell you, right? Is, so you're going to use it as is being. If it is, you're going to use it as is being. You're going to change it into is being. Okay, they greet me cheerfully every morning. So I am greeted cheerfully by them every morning, or I am greeted by them every morning cheerfully. Both the answers can over here be also correct. Okay. Now let's proceed further. Darjeeling grows tree. Darjeeling grows tea. So here what we're going to write down is, okay, Darjeeling grows tea. So subject here is Darjeeling. Okay, grows is my verb and tea is the object. So I'm going to swap the position. So tea comes in place of Darjeeling and Darjeeling goes in the place of tea. So here tea is grown in Darjeeling because my sentence is in present tense. So I did tell you all, if your sentence is in present tense, you're going to change it into am, is, are. You're going to add the helping verbs like am, is, are. Okay. So tea is grown in Darjeeling. Okay. So this was nothing but your change the voice. Now we are going to move on to one of the most important concepts where you can actually score a full 5 on 5. That is nothing but notice writing. Okay, so come on. The question was that there is going to be a carnival in your school to raise funds for a recent flood that affected your state. So first and foremost, the rules that you need to follow when you're writing a notice is, the first of all, an attractive title, a catchy title is going to be there. Okay, after that you're going to explain the title, what it means. That is called as a name. Then you're going to mention the date, then you're going to mention the time, and then you're going to mention the venue. So if you get the sequence, guys, it becomes the NDTV format. That is a name, date, time, and venue. So first and foremost, we are going to give it a catchy title. Here I've given it Celebrate to Donate. Now remember, guys, your title should not exceed more than 3 words. And you are going to add exclamatory marks also. You're going to add exclamation marks to that also. Okay. So Celebrate to Donate. So I have not included more than 3 words in that. My title is just of my catchy title is just of 3 words. And yes, you're going to add exclamatory marks in it. 1 or 3, that's okay. But do not go more than 3. 3, keep it as a maximum limit. 3 exclamatory marks are absolutely fine. Then after the writing the title, you're going to leave a line and you're going to explain it. Okay, you're going to explain what does your title mean. So the year we are going to write Fundraising Carnival. You're again going to leave a line. This is a format of the date that you need to keep in mind. 5th September with a comma 2020. Again, leave a line, and that's your timings. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. This is exactly the format that you'll need to keep in mind for the date and the time. And when you're writing the venue, whenever you're writing the venue, guys, so you have to keep in mind, first you have to tell me exactly where is a function going to be held in the school. Okay, is it going to be the school ground, auditorium, hall, wherever it is? First tell me where it is going to be conducted in the school, and after that, the name of your school. Okay, so here we have the catchy title, then we have the name, date, time, and venue. Okay, and then finally we have the content. We have the details, exactly what is this entire carnival all about. You will have to explain. The recent floods of Madhya Pradesh have shook the world, and it's time we join hands and attempt to help the ones who have been worst affected. The school is conducting a fundraising carnival program. All the funds collected will be directly sent to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund, requesting all the students to participate. Keep it short, keep it simple. And now remember one thing, guys, whatever details you all are mentioning in the name, date, time, and venue, always remember you are not going to repeat the same details in the detail section that is in your paragraph. Now when it comes to the length of your notice, you're not going to exceed it more than half a page, and always create a table. Always create a table. Okay, you are always going to create a table and enclose a notice in that. So you're going to first write down your entire notice, and once you're done, you're going to create a table. Okay, so you all are going to keep this in mind. And now we come on to the marking scheme. So remember, an appropriate and a catchy title is going to help you score 1 mark. Okay, the heading is going to help you score 1 mark. That's the name. Your date and the time together is going to score you 1 full mark. So time is going to be of half mark and date is going to be of half marks. Your school venue, okay, that is exactly where this function is going to be held. That, like the hall, basement, auditorium, wherever it is, that along with the name of the school. So exact venue is going to help you score 1 mark, and the details is going to help you score 1 mark. So if you keep this format in mind, trust me guys, scoring a full 5 on 5 in notices, it's literally going to be very easy. Yes, of course. Now, one thing that you'll need to keep in mind is writing the words NAME name, DATE date, TIME time, VANUE venue. It is all optional. You can write it, you cannot write it, that's absolutely okay. Leaving lines is going to be compulsory as it adds on to the presentation of the notice. Because it is adding on to the presentation of the notice, I'll suggest you all to leave lines. But yes, writing date, time, venue, it's completely optional. Okay, and now we move on to email writing. So always remember the question for notice and email is going to be similar. So first and foremost, we are going to talk about the email ID. Now this email ID can be @ St. Lawrence High School that is given over here, or it can also be @gmail.com. For example, principal.stlawrencehighschool@gmail.com. That is also correct. So first and foremost, you're going to begin your email writing with the email ID that is going to help you score half mark. Leave a line, you're going to write down the subject. Okay, invitation to the carnival, again that is going to be half a mark. Okay, so half and half, total 1. Again, you're going to leave a line for the salutation. A proper salutation is going to help you score half a mark. So dear sir / ma'am. I'll suggest you all, instead of writing ma'am, you all can go in for madam. Okay, if you are not confident with writing with the word ma'am, go in for madam, even that's absolutely correct. Okay, now you're going to leave one line. Your email is also always going to consist of 3 paragraphs. Okay, the first is an introductory paragraph that is called as your opening sentence. The second paragraph is going to be a details paragraph where you're mentioning the detail of the event. And the third paragraph is what you are expecting from the person to whom you're writing an email. So first we have the email ID, leave a line subject, leave a line salutation, that's dear sir or madam. Leave a line, you have your opening sentence, leave a line, your information. Now it is upon you. You can write the information in pointer format, the way it is written over here, or you can write it in a paragraph format, that's completely your choice. But yes, if you write it in pointer format, the length is going to increase a little and it is always going to look a little more neat. So that's completely your choice. And finally, you're going to leave a line and then you're going to write down the third paragraph. Okay, you're going to write down the third paragraph. That's going to be a closing sentence. So see, as the secretary of the school cultural program, I would like to invite you along. I would like to invite you along with your students and teachers for a carnival program. Okay, then you're going to leave a line. If a proper opening sentence is going to help you score half a mark. The details of the program are mentioned below. And then you can just simply say, at this hour, Madhya Pradesh needs the help of the nation to help support its flood victims. And so all the funds collected in this carnival will be sent to the Chief Minister's Relief Fund. So this is nothing but your expression, the way you're giving the details of the event, and a proper second paragraph with the proper tone, keeping in mind that the conversation that you have in the email is going to be very formal. It's going to help you score full 2 marks. And then your third paragraph, that's going to be a closing sentence, requesting you to kindly allow your students to participate and help us raise the maximum funds in anticipation of a positive response from your end. This is a closing sentence where you are talking about what you are expecting. A proper closing sentence helps us score half a mark. Leave a line thanking you. Leave a line. Then we have the final subscriptions over here. Yours sincerely. Always go on for sincerely rather than faithfully. That's my suggestion. Write sincerely instead of faithfully. Your name and your designation. Remember, in email writing, writing your name and designation is going to be compulsory. But in notice writing, you're not going to write your name and designation. In notice, your name and designation will not be written. But yes, in email writing, your name and designation will be written. So in notice writing, you're not going to write your name and not going to write your designation. But in email writing, you're going to write down your name and you are going to write down your designation. Right? So this was your email writing. And trust me guys, a proper practice on notice and email writing will literally help you score full marks. And that is not difficult. All you need to do is keep on practicing and practicing and practicing. We now move on to the final concept, that is your letter writing. Okay, that is your letter writing. Okay. Now we move on to letter writing. First and foremost, whenever you're given an option between opting for a formal or an informal letter, what I will always suggest you all is going for a formal letter. The reason is a formal letter consists of more marks on the format than on the content. But whenever you're attempting an informal letter, you have to focus more on the content because you're allotted more marks. You're allotted more marks on the content rather than the format. So in an informal letter, your format barely consists of 2.5 marks. 2.5 marks. The remaining marks are given to your content. But when you talk about a formal letter, your format itself consists of 5 marks. So I think this will always be better for you to opt for a formal letter writing. But still, let me first go ahead with the explanation of an informal letter writing. Okay, so for an informal letter writing, first and foremost, we need to keep in mind that the alignment of our address is always going to be on the left hand side. First, you're going to write down your flat number, okay, then the name of your building, just the way it is given in this format. After that, in the next line, you're going to write down the name of your area. No landmark, nothing has to be mentioned. You're going to now write down your main area. So first you wrote down your flat number, building name, your sub area, your main area, and finally the city pin code. Okay, after writing that, your address should wind up in 4 lines, not more than that. You're going to leave a line, okay? You're going to leave a line and you're going to write down the date exactly in the format given over here. And then leave a line and then you're going to begin with your letter. This is an informal one where you have to write a letter to your old schoolmate, talking to her about your new school. So how do you begin? What is your introductory paragraph? First and foremost, you need to keep in mind one thing, that if you really want to impress the paper corrector with your writing skills, always give an amazing introduction. Okay, always give an amazing introduction. So here, how have you begin with this? So dear Yahanshi, the dear and the name of your friend. I hope this letter finds you in the best of your health. Okay, avoid writing in the pink of your health. That's become too common now. So we'll go in for something else. I hope this letter finds you in the best of your health. I never knew that the last time we met in school would be our last moments we would share together. I have a very interesting news to share with you, and I'm sure you would be in mixed emotions after listening to that, just like me. Now, whenever you're going to give an opening paragraph, okay, whenever you're going to give an opening paragraph in an informal letter, try creating a little suspense about exactly what you're going to talk about. Just the way I have created over here, just the way I've created over here, by telling my friend that there is an interesting news. I'm not disclose my content in the first paragraph only. Just make it, create a little suspense. And it all depends on how amazing you write your first paragraph. And again, what I'll suggest is keep on practicing letters. Try different opening paragraphs and see what fits in the best and how you can score your maximum. And then in the second paragraph, you're going to mention the details exactly of what happened. You're going to talk about your new school. You're going to talk about, now in the second paragraph, just focus on what you're talking about, your new school. Okay, you talk more about your new school. We'll keep the second part, that is what you're missing about your old school. We'll talk about that later. We don't have to focus more on that. Right now we're going to talk about your new school. So your second paragraph is going to give in complete details of the topic. You have to talk about what you love about your new school and how it is different from the old school. So first we're going to talk about that. Your second paragraph gives you the details. And finally, the third paragraph is going to be a closing paragraph where you now talk about the second half of the letter, that what you're missing about your old school. And in the end, you're just, giving in your final message to your friend, telling her that, okay, you're going to await for her reply and so on. Now, guys, just because it's an informal letter, you cannot just keep on going on writing and writing and writing. You need to keep in mind that there is somewhere you have to stop. You just cannot get into too much of details. Like I have seen students writing 2.5 pages of an informal letter. We don't want that. 1.5 pages is more than enough. That includes your format also. But don't just keep on writing and writing and writing. Don't get too much into details. Stop wherever it is necessary. Give your details short and crisp. But yes, again, in an informal letter, you have to, talk about your wishes, okay, and you have to actually have an informal conversation. And that is why I'll tell you, instead of getting into this, rather going for a formal letter where the content is going to be very short. Because of course, you're not going to share pleasantries with an unknown person, unlike you're doing over here with your friend. Say hi to uncle, say hi to auntie. I hope you are in the best of your health. I'm missing you. I'm awaiting your reply. Don't get into that. But still, if you want to go in for an informal letter, this is exactly your format. And then once you're done after writing the third paragraph, leave a line, your subscription, yours lovingly, and your name. After every paragraph, you're going to leave a line. So we'll just see wherever we are leaving lines. After the 4-line address, leave a line, then the date, leave a line, and then your salutation. And then you start with your paragraph. And after every paragraph, you're going to leave a line. First paragraph is your introductory paragraph where you're actually not directly talking about the topic. You're creating more of like a suspense. Second paragraph, give the details of the topic. Third paragraph, your closing sentence. Okay, that you're missing her, you wish to spend time with her, regards to uncle, auntie. So these are some common things that you can write in the letter. Okay, and in the end, your subscription, your name, your lovingly, and then your name. And then we move on to a formal letter where again we are going to wind up our address in 4 lines. Leave a line, we're going for the date. Again, we leave a line. Okay, we are going to leave a line over here to the municipal commissioner, Colaba, Mumbai, and your pin code. So what have we done over here is we've written our address. We left a line, we wrote the date, we left a line. Okay, then we spoke about the one to whom we are writing the letter. It's the municipal commissioner. Given the main area, do not write the sub area, main area is okay, and city, pin code. The second formulated topic was that there has been leakage, tap leakage, and how you can prevent wastage of the water. So again, first and foremost, after you're done writing your salutation, you're going to leave a line and then begin with your first paragraph. You're going to talk about the problem. In the first paragraph, remember, you're going to talk about the problem. In a formal letter, you're going to directly come on to point. You're not going to share any pleasantries. You're going to directly come on to the point and talk about the problem, just as the way we have done here. And never begin your letter with, I am writing this letter. Never ever begin your letter with a first person pronoun that I am writing this letter. You can always begin with, this letter has been written to you by. This letter has been written to you by. Or you can just directly begin with the topic. That's absolutely okay, because in the end, you're going to write down your name and your address is already mentioned. So you can simply see, time and again, government has taken measures to create awareness among the educated or uneducated class of the society on the repercussions of water waste. Now guys, remember one thing, always a better use of vocabulary helps you score better marks. Okay, always a better use of vocabulary helps you to score better marks. So I will tell you always to focus on vocabulary whenever you're attempting any writing skills. Find out new words, take out, at least pick out 1 or 2 new words in a day and try finding out the new meanings and start writing them in your sentences. That always helps you to get an add-on mark in your examination, in your writing skills. So your first paragraph talks about your problem. Leave a line. Your second paragraph talks about the suggestions. Okay, and whenever you're mentioning suggestions, I will always tell you all, instead of writing them in paragraph format, why not write them in pointer format? It increases the length of your letter and always it looks more presentable. Remember, writing in a pointer format always makes your content look more presentable. Do that. And finally, leave a line and talk about the third paragraph. Now, again, the third paragraph is, what are you anticipating from the person to whom you have written a letter? You are anticipating him to reply to your letter or to immediately take an action. So always end your letter with, in anticipation of a quick and positive response. Never use the words like, I hope. I hope you give me a positive response. Don't use the word hope. Avoid using words like please. Avoid using the word sorry. Avoid using the word hope. Rather than please, you can just use the word request. In case of sorry, you can use the word apologize. And in case of hope, you can use the word anticipation. So these are a few things that can always enhance your quality of the letter. So again, your address, everything comes on the left hand side. Your address, you're going to leave a line, write down the date, leave a line, the receiver's address. Okay, you're going to leave a line with the salutation, dear sir. Leave a line, begin your first paragraph. That's going to be directly the problem. Leave a line, talk about the suggestion. Leave a line and write down the third paragraph talks about what you're anticipating from the person to whom you've written the letter. Okay, and then finally after that, leaving a line thanking you, leave a line, yours sincerely. Again, the same thing is just that of an email. Third paragraph, you leave a line, write down thanking you, you leave a line, your subscriptions, that is yours sincerely. Again, avoid using the word faithfully. I would always suggest you all to use the word sincerely and your name. So guys, these are a few things that you'll keep in mind, okay, whenever you are solving any language paper. Be it writing skill, be it sentences, all you need to remember is the more you practice, the more perfect you get at it, right? So I'm going to see you all again, okay, in the next video solution. And until then, all of you all, please take care of yourself. Bye guys, take care and don't forget to be safe.